Forget to turn your mics on.
Okay, microphone's on. I am ready.
Hey, Mike.
That stuff off. It's good. All right. My on-screen camera always reveals things on my hair that I didn't see in the mirror.
What hair?
Yeah, what hair?
Oh, it's back here. And down here. I see it now.
That's right, that's the way it works. Good morning, everybody, on November 18th, Monday, a rare Monday BOC meeting at 9:30 a.m. Please join us in a Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. All right, on this first post-election BOC meeting of 2024, we will open the public portion of the meeting with agenda item 3A, intergovernmental agreement number 181346-1 with Oregon Health Authority. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning.
We're having a little technical consultation here.
You want me to wait? or
No, go
proceed?
ahead. Go ahead.
So this first intergovernmental agreement is from OHA giving us an additional $50,000 for OHP insurance. So what we do is we hook up people with insurance at Peace Health and Wellness.
Okay, I move we approve the IGA number 181346-1 with Oregon Health Authority and authorize Department Head Mike Rowley to sign.
A second.
Motion and a second. Mike, I have a question. So we get 150,000 annually
No,
for,
that's biannual.
okay.
It's for 2 years.
And that is an incentive for us to get people to subscribe to the Oregon Health Plan. Is that correct?
It's to hire staff so that when people need assistance with Oregon Health Plan, they'll be assisted.
Okay. So what we're doing is we're availing ourselves of people who are desirous of acquiring Oregon Health Plan services. We're availing ourselves for their consultation to assist them in that application process.
Yes,
Okay.
and it also internally helps us. So for example, a lot of our services depend on Oregon Health Plan, and so our programs kind of intermingle. So if someone comes for WIC and they don't have Oregon Health Plan, we can assist them with our Oregon Health Plan person.
Okay, so what I'm trying to understand is what our role is in precisely advocating for people to get on the Oregon Health Plan.
We do not advocate, we just accept people if that's what they want. Just like
Do-
any other service, if you want WIC, you can come to us to get that service.
Okay, do we promote that?
No, as far as I know, we don't have any advertisements.
How about internal promotion, cross-departmental?
We do. like I said before, if someone comes in, we know internally that we have someone that will help you. So behavioral health depends on OHP, so does public health. And so it's kind of a synergy of.
Okay. All right, that answers my questions. Any other discussion on the board?
Nope.
No,
Any discussion in the room on this agenda item? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Item 3B, use of funds for workforce retention payments through intergovernmental agreement number 179697. What's this one, Mike?
So this one is per your guys' request. I'm back here today to represent the agenda for retention payments for behavioral health and to present some data. If you remember, there were some questions on some data.
Yeah.
We have this funding that the board has accepted some time ago that we received because of the current behavioral health staffing crisis. These funds were budgeted for the purpose of retention, and we're here today to authorize its expenditure according to the grant requirements. In general, retaining experienced staff is a cost-effective solution rather than having to recruit and train new therapists. This prevents gaps in care which negatively affect clients and cause additional strain on remaining staff, improves continuity of care, which is the key component of effective behavioral health treatment, especially those with complex or chronic mental health issues. High turnover rates disrupt team dynamics, increasing stress on the remaining staff and creating a cycle of burnout and further departures. We have done these payments in the last few years. If you recall, I think this was prior to your being a commissioner, Mr. Taylor. In 2019, our CCO changed the way we do business at Coos Health and Wellness. And so we are in a fee-for-service model, which is a revenue-generating model, which is a little different than what we were before. But that has an impact on how our business or our department operates. So it's on a fee-for-service basis, means if you don't do the service, you don't get paid, basically. So the average salary of an employee that we were looking to make these payments is about $70,000. Recruitment costs are about $22,000. Average productivity loss, because we are a revenue-generating fee-for-service operation, is about $21,000. And so that is when we get a new staff, it takes about 4.5 months for them to get up to speed. So we were losing revenue to get each new staff up to speed. We're also losing about $32,000 in vacancies. So once someone leaves and you need someone to fill that spot, well, we don't have someone generating revenues, that's another $30,000. So it's about $70,000 just in rough numbers that we're losing when we lose a staff member and have to train them. I have looked at our retention numbers, and since we have started, they have gone up between 2 and 7%, which is quite a bit when we're talking our retention numbers for behavioral health.
Okay. Thank you for that much more comprehensive introduction of the agenda item than we saw in the last conversation about this. May I have a motion, please?
I move we approve use of state funds for workforce retention at Coos Health and Wellness in an amount not to exceed $74,000 total for all employees involved through IGA agreement number 179697.
Do I have a second?
Not for me.
All right, I will second for discussion. May I have some discussion on the board, please?
Yeah, I know this might create some other issues throughout the county, but we have had in times past a considerable amount. This is just my general observation. I don't have statistics to back it up with retention at Coos Health and Wellness. We have a lot of people in our county. Now, Mike has explained to us the impact on the county in additional recruitment cost, in lost revenue opportunity. I'd like to talk a little bit about the clientele that we serve. No one's forcing any of this on anyone. These are our clients are generally people who don't have health insurance or the means to pay for their own, or more importantly, their children's health care. And if we don't have the staff on hand to take care of these people, they don't get appropriate and generally much needed medical care. This is part of largely Medicaid dollars that come from the federal government via the state government to Advanced Health and then to us as one of the providers, and we're but one of the providers for this part of our population that badly needs medical care and generally can't afford it. I'm aware that there are some concerns about some of the services that they deliver, but by and large, what they deliver are much needed medical services. So I think it's important we continue to operate, make sure that that Coos Health and Wellness is properly manned to serve the public.
Okay. Commissioner May?
Well, let's see. Like I said last time, it doesn't seem fair to the rest of the county departments that don't have this available. They're all doing an amazing job, but somehow the state of Oregon, through our tax dollars, is promoting this particular entity. Why not the deputies? Why not the people in the tax office, etc.? This seems really wrong to me. In fact, the average salary Mike just said is $70,000, which is pretty close to what commissioners make of 74 and change. Besides that, it's the average is more than what our deputies make to start with. But we're not having a retention bonus for deputies. But like I said, this money comes from our tax dollars, and so a lot of people out there are having trouble making ends meet. So I don't see how this is really a good practice. Thank you.
Okay. I see a couple of things here as I consider this. One is that, while it's true that that retention payments like this at Coos Health and Wellness might appear unfair or unjust compared to other departments, I also recognize the conflict that health and wellness is up against trying to provide the services that they are conscripted to provide in an environment that is very competitive for employees. There are very real difficulties there, and the private sector does have some hiring advantages in terms of what they're able to offer for wage. There's a quote that I love to use from my late great uncle-in-law. His name was Uncle Bill, and one day a neighbor came down to his house on Beach Loop there in Bandon and said, living behind you here, we love it, and we would have a great view of the ocean if you could cut that tree down right there for us. We'd really appreciate it. And Uncle Bill looked at the tree and he looked at them and he said, you know, if you wanted a view, you should have bought a better piece of property. And he didn't cut the tree. And so how I relate that here is if you know, we all make choices about our career direction, and our career direction has particular ramifications as we move down that path. One of the realities is that healthcare pays very well. I hope that we're able to provide adequate incentives for all of our other important departments in the county as well, particularly for the sheriff's department. Those guys are out there risking their actual lives. They're the only ones in the county that really are at that kind of risk. What do you know? What's happening inside that vehicle that you're approaching in the dark, in the rain? You don't know. And that deserves compensation. But we also have to face the reality that we have Coos Health and Wellness. It's not funded by county funds directly. They are not part of the general fund. They're entirely funded by state and federal fundings that, yes, are our tax dollars, indirect, but it's not a direct product of our property taxes or any other specific county outlays. And so I would say that that any department that is desirous of increasing wages or providing retention payments for their staff is welcome and free to go out and try to find the funding to do that outside of the general fund. Obviously, we don't have room in the general fund, but this doesn't have anything to do with those general funds. And so on that basis, I would indicate that I am leaning in favor of this agenda item. So with that said, is there any further discussion on the board before we open this up?
I would disagree with, in general, I agree with almost all you said, except for one thing, and that everyone has made choices to kind of put them where they are. Everyone except children.
Well, I was talking about employees.
Oh,
I was
okay.
talking about career path
Okay.
choices.
Well, I liked what you said.
All right.
But I think there are a lot of children who benefit from this who otherwise will not get
Yeah.
medical
My comments were in no way referencing any of the clientele of health and wellness. I was specifically and only speaking of employees. Is there any comment in the room on this agenda item? Mr. Bennett?
Morning.
Good morning.
Jim Bennett, Bandon. So I agree with very much with what Bob said. But you know, there's other ancillary costs to caring for a lot of these people that are not from Coos County. And I think I shouldn't have to generate a FOIA, which I'm willing to do. I think that your fiduciary responsibility, especially since it's been brought up, I think we should know what percentage of these people that we're serving come from Coos County.
Okay. Mike would like to respond to that. Mike, please.
That was one of the data points you requested. So number of clients served last year is 79,840, and the percentage of those that are long-term county residents are 98.5%.
Well, you think locals that kind of live in Coos Bay and kind of pay attention and stuff, you think they would concur with that statistic?
Well,
I do.
It's a rhetorical question.
okay.
No offense, but I don't believe it. But anyway,
All right. Well, I am inclined to believe it because health and wellness services are typically, the majority of those services are to people who are residing in a more, in a semi-traditional fashion. We're not talking about homeless services here. And
exclusively, no.
so when you throttle down the percentage of health and wellness services that are provided to, what we might consider as homeless or transient, and then you do an analysis on that segment of the population that is actually long-term Coos County residents. I know that it's a majority. It's not anywhere near 98%. I think it's more in the 60 to 70% range in terms of homeless or transient in the county are more long-term Coos County residents. So I actually think the statistic probably holds up. It sounds credible to me based on what I just said. So,
Well, one way or another, we're paying for, I think we have to agree, we're paying for a lot of people that aren't from Coos County. Agreed?
No,
No, huh?
no.
I think that there are transients into Coos County who would not be considered long-term residents in any wise, upon whom we do have county expenditures. But I also believe that that's probably the case in almost every county in the U.S. So, I don't see that as a disqualification for this particular agenda item. I think that this still holds up in a logical analysis for me.
If we insisted on long-term residents, I'd be the only customer of Coos Health and Wellness.
Well, yeah, that would be ancient residents.
Oh, okay.
All right.
I think an unscientific, interviewing of homeless people in Coos would bear that a lot of them are.
Well, this board would welcome any such data inputs. We're always, as you know, under my chairmanship, the comments flow freely. And so we would welcome that.
Thank you.
All right, thank you,
So
Jim.
is this going to wellness or health?
Just behavioral health.
Wellness, in other words. Yeah,
I see Coos Health and Wellness as both
well,
public health. and
years
behavioral
ago,
health.
we changed it
Yeah.
from health department and mental health to health department and wellness. So wellness is the mental health portion.
Oh, so mental health
Mm-hmm.
portion.
Okay. So, John, are you taking services from that department?
Probably need to, dealing with you all the time.
I just couldn't let that one pass.
Yeah.
I didn't when I came to work here, but
Are there any other comments in the room on this agenda item? Darius?
Good morning. I'm coming to you as a resident of Coos Bay.
Yes.
I,
Introduction, please.
sorry, my name is Darius Boudelier. My wife and I were trying to get a family member mental health services. It was tough in Coos County. On one occasion, we did speak with somebody at Coos Health and Wellness, and we were told that there was a program available for that family member, but due to staffing, they could not offer us an opening. That was very frustrating, to know that we could not get that family member the help they needed. We were at a crisis when I was calling every organization in the county, private and public. And they have everybody tell me, I'm sorry, we have a program that would help that person, but we don't have enough staff to open up a position. It was very frustrating. I was very angry. Fortunately, the situation is better now, but when you go looking for help and you find out there's not enough staff, It is a real problem. Mental health staff, both public and private, is a real problem in the county. And when you need the help and you can't get it, you know it's there, but you can't get it. I'm a county employee and I am not going to benefit from retention bonuses. I've never gotten one, and that's a bummer. But as a person with a family member in crisis, to find out there was help available but not enough people to distribute that help, it was heartbreaking.
Well, Darius, hearing your additional commentary as a department head here at the county and recognizing the potential for some disrupted feelings over this in other departments, and yet hearing your advocacy for passage of this one, despite that, is pretty telling. So thank you for your comments. Yeah. Any other comments in the room on this agenda item? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
All right. Moving to 3C. Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Michael.
Have a great day. Beaver Hill Pit Roof Structure Replacement Contract. Good morning, Jessica.
Paul is out today, so.
How you feeling?
Right? Better.
Better. Good. Sound good.
John came in and gave us all his cold.
B.
Oh,
All of us in the
yes.
office.
Yes, he was very generous with that.
Thankfully, it
Do my
wasn't
best.
terrible. Okay, so today we're requesting to award the contract for our Beaver Hill disposal site roof structure. We have not received that back from Ordell. There was a small typo in the contract from HG, so once they did that typo, did you see that email come in?
Typo?
There was a typo in the amount. It was $1,658,998 is what HG had in the contract, but it was written out 95. 95 was what it was supposed to be.
$3.
So a couple dollars.
Okay.
So they're still working on their insurance and bonds, and they'll get that contract over.
I move we approve and sign the Beaver Hill Pit Roof Structure Replacement Contract with Ordell Construction LLC in the amount of $1,658,995.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion on the board?
Yep.
I have a discussion. I just want to say thank you to you and to the entire solid waste staff for what you've done out here. Put aside almost $1,700,000 to replace this roof. And by law, we have to have a roof over our garbage pit, so we're not putting a lot of bad leachates into the ground around there. Economically, it's really of great benefit. We end up, without the roof, we end up hauling a lot of water to the landfill. That garbage soaks it up like crazy, and it doesn't pay very well doing that. So this is good environmentally, good structurally, and
Good
run it-
economically.
and you run it so well out there. So thank you.
And it's less than half of what the estimated cost was going to be.
And actually, the set aside that you guys have been able to carve out is significantly more than this contract. I think it was a 2.1, 2.3. You set aside 3.4. All right.
The bids came in so high, we weren't able to do it.
Yeah.
But we were able to revise the structure substantially.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very good, and we'll be. I'm sure you can anticipate some conversation during our budget negotiations. So thank you for all that good work.
For those in the audience that haven't been here for quite a while, there was a time not too long ago when solid waste was requiring about about $300,000 to $400,000 a year of tax dollars or reserves to operate out there under your predecessors.
And they have incinerators.
Yeah, and your management, that has been reversed. So now we're not only paying for the services we've always got from the county, which we never used to have to do in terms of payroll and insurance and all of that. We're able to pay for these things like this ourselves. And Jessica's done a great job out there. Thank you.
All right, any further comments on the board? Any comments in the room on this agenda item? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
And 3D is for amendment number 01, local agency agreement number 34628 for Libby Lane Rumble Strips project.
So back in 2021, we signed a contract with ODOT, this was in the STIP program, to do rumble strips on Libby Lane after we did the paving. That cost for the rumble strips came in low, so we wanted to add recessed pavement markers to that project to help with safety. So ODOT agreed. The cost was much lower than what we were thinking. So there's no numbers that have changed in this amendment, but it's just changing, adding recessed markers to the project. And then there's a few, John Rowe was in on the contract, so they changed that to Pulse later. And there was a change on one of the manager slides on ODOT.
Okay.
And this is completed already. The rumble strips and the recessed markers are complete.
I move we approve and sign amendment number 1 to the local agency agreement number 34628 for the Libby Lane Rumble Strip project.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion on the board?
Nope.
Any discussion in the room? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Thank you
Thanks,
very much,
Jessica.
Jessica. Have a blessed day. Next up, 3E, forestry, payment of Coos Forest Patrol admin fee. Good morning, Cole.
Good morning.
Morning, Cole.
Yeah, so we're just looking to pay our yearly CPA admin fees, majority forestry, but it does encompass parks, solid waste, land agent, and roads. Total of $16,219.66.
I move we authorize payment of the attached invoice to Oregon Department of Forestry in the amount of $16,219.66.
A second?
Motion and a second. Any discussion on the board?
Anything?
Well, it includes parks and solid waste and land agent, et cetera.
Right, the whole county
It's not just
slice.
forestry.
Yes.
I would point out that, although I will vote for approving this, that there's a little inequity involved in this. It used to be that most of our major private forest owners in the area had their own logging equipment. And when there came time to assist with a fire, they pitched right in and helped. And the reason they're not charged for this was because of the help they would give in actually fighting fires. Over the years, the ownership of a lot of our county forest land, or forest land in the county, has changed from outfits that did their own logging, had their own sawmills, to investment firms who hardly have anyone on the ground here, and they have no equipment to dedicate to a fire when it comes time to do that. So they're getting off scot-free, and the public forests are having to pay the bill on this. So I don't know quite what we can do about that, but it's certainly an inequity. We have to pay this, no question about it, but we should be sharing it. We should be able to share it, but
Maybe get together with Senator Smith and Representatives Boomer and Boyce and try and get it changed.
Yeah.
Okay. Any further discussion on the board? Is there any discussion in the room on this agenda item? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Cole.
Cole. Have a blessed day, sir. Next up, 3F for the district attorney. Reclass Bennett Wall from DDA 1, Step 4 to DDA 2, Step 1. We have our district attorney and our district attorney-elect. Good morning.
Actually, if you'd like to take both these agenda items at the same time, it'll make it easier in our explanation.
Yeah, we can,
We can do that, we can do individual.
yeah, we don't need much on the second one. It'll be an easy follow-on. Let's just go ahead and take them one at a
So,
time.
Mr. Chair, before they get started, let's cut the chase here, and I move to approve Resolution 24-11-187P and 24-11-188P.
So Commissioner Maine is of a mind that we should combine the agenda
I guess
items.
we are.
apparently.
Guess that's what we'll do.
Well, you know what, we'll grant short timers privilege.
One
How about
last
that?
little request, yes.
All right, Commissioner Maine, you have it. We have a motion. How about a second?
I
Commissioner?
second that.
Okay, very good. So there you go. We don't need much explanation. Basically, we're just moving a couple of people in the district attorney's department.
Aye.
And is there any discussion in the room on these agenda items? 3F and 3G. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Very good. There you go. Wasn't that easy? Didn't have to say a word. Okay. Thank you very much.
As a lawyer, I'm disappointed.
Item 3H for the Sheriff's Department, Oregon State Fire Marshal's Office, additional appropriations, resolution 24-11-191B. Good morning, Sheriff.
Good morning, Commissioners. Just that it was a grant for wildfire protection plan that was, we already accepted it, but this is just for appropriation in the amount of $94,500.
Move to approve additional appropriation 94,500 and resolution 24-11-191B.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on the board?
Nope.
Any discussion in the room? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
And this is a chilling topic, 3I,
Boo.
purchase of a new
Boo, boo,
walk-in
boo, boo.
freezer. Sheriff, you need a new walk-in freezer.
Needed a walk-in freezer.
Okay.
Somehow that makes it here.
All right.
Yep, it's going out in the jail, and since we do our own meals, it's pretty important.
It's pretty important.
Move to approve a new walk-in freezer in the amount of $13,950 for the
Second.
jail.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on the board?
Nope.
Any discussion in the room? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much, Sheriff.
Move to
That was
approve the
quick and
consent
easy.
calendar, Mr. Chair.
Motion to
Second.
approve the consent and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And Commissioner comments? Commissioner Maine?
Well, I was glad to see that we're going to have President Trump as our new president. I was afraid that our great United States of America was going to go down the sewer pipe if something didn't change. I understand that we're going to have Elon Musk and Ramaswamy do a complete investigation into the budget of the United States of America. I was reading where Elon thinks right off the bat he can save $2 trillion. What I did find really interesting, though, highly interesting, is that they're looking for people with a resume to hire to help. I found that very intriguing, and I have a number of ideas where they can save trillions with just the limited knowledge I have of the federal government. So It'll be very interesting. I'm trying to get somebody else to also apply. Although I don't know if I can do 80 hours a week anymore at my young age. But it will be interesting. I do know of a person who is off the charts, intelligence-wise, is retired in mid-40s, and could do an excellent job. I was also sorry to see, though, that the jail levy did not pass. That levy, we're going to have to reduce the number of pods down to 1 from 2, so we'll go from 98 to 48 beds. That still leaves roughly $3 million short in the general fund. We're already at a minimum amount for those departments like the county clerk, tax and treasurer, survey, etc. The juvenile's got 4 people now, including the director. I mean, wow. So basically, to me, it was defund the police, is what they told us. And I really just irritates the you know what out of me. Really irritates me. I can't say how much I was totally disappointed in that. Mr. Chair?
Mr. Sweet?
I would second Bob's comments regarding public safety. One of the most important functions we have. We have great staff. We've gone great lengths to be competitive and to hire additional staff, and I don't see how we're going to retain them all. It's not like we have a huge tax burden. Our county tax rate going forward, this is old news, but I'm going to repeat it because I'm upset and I want you to suffer through hearing this over and over and over again. Our county tax rate, not the one that goes to pay for schools and cities and ports and airports, just the one that goes to run our county, is less than 1/3 of the average in the county, in the state. We're paying 1/3 of the average. Statewide, county taxes, the tax paid to run counties, averages $1,900, no, excuse me. The total property tax paid by the members of statewide is $1,900 per person. In our county, it's $1,200. So our county used to have 550 employees. Today it has 350. 10 years ago, we had millions of dollars of debt. Today, we are absolutely debt-free, or will be as soon as we make the last payment on our that we collected the money for in property taxes this year. It's going to be devastating. There won't be significant consequences for criminal behavior anymore. The most serious of crimes will be dealt with, of course, but there's a lot that impact almost all of us that there'll be no consequences for. We won't have the DA staff to prosecute. We won't have the jail capacity to incarcerate. Because we won't be able to prosecute a lot of crimes, it will significantly reduce the number of people that are put on parole and probation. going to impact us across the whole county. I'm not even sure if we'll be able to. Right now, we have, at any given time, we have 2 deputies patrolling the entire county. It's going to be a challenge keeping that up. We've tried 3 times. It's failed 3 times. It doesn't appear to me that we can blame those of us who lean to the right for this, nor can we blame those of us who lean to the left for this. I note that we voted fairly significantly in favor of right-leaning federal and state officials, but we didn't vote in favor of, and we had a majority of the people voted that way, but a majority of the people did not vote for the public safety levy. So we'll have to see how it plays out. It won't be pretty. And we're not the only one. Curry County is ahead of us in this. Douglas County, Josephine County is ahead of us. Douglas County says we'll have a whole corner of the state down here where we won't have good law enforcement. No, it's tragic. The things I did in the last 2 weeks they're so insignificant compared to the significance of this that I can't even bring myself to talk about it. They were good things, but this is a bad thing. It's going to be tough. I'm done.
Thank you, Commissioner Sweet. Obviously, we have had a major tectonic shift in national politics, and the majority of Coos County voters, as Commissioner Sweet indicated, were aligned with the shift that we've seen. I do take some pleasure in watching the mainstream media gaslighting pundits scrambling like rats scurrying off of a ship, and anticipate seeing more of that. And we anticipate seeing some very good things on the national level. That said, we do have a serious budgetary issue that we are going to have to deal with here in Coos County. And unfortunately, the Sheriff's Department is the one department that comprises the vast majority of the general fund expenditures that we deal with at the county. And so thus, the biggest slice of the pie is the one that's probably going to have to see some significant reduction as well. And that is going to have a negative impact on the safety of the public to the degree that we are not able to find a way to plug the hole. Just earlier in this meeting, let me say first this, that patching this hole in the county budget is, maybe we can find a way to partially plug it for one more year, but it comes down to a bottom line of revenues versus costs. Costs are rising faster than revenues. There is no way around it. It's an economically simple equation. Less money coming in, more money going out, that's a problem. It's not a problem when you can just print money like the feds have done for decades and decades. Unfortunately, we can't do that until we, create county script. Maybe we should look at that. But,
They did that one time.
yeah,
During the Depression, they
Yeah.
had county script.
yeah.
They had Myrtlewood dollars, 1s, 5s, 10s, and 20s.
Yeah, well, we have plenty of Myrtlewood, so maybe we should re-engage that. There are a couple of other creative solutions that we continue to work on, that I continue to work on. Spent a couple of days in a class last week to try to find a potential solution. That solution would be at least a couple of years out. Had another meeting last week to discuss a potential shorter-term solution that would be less ideal, but could potentially avert some of those sheriff's department layoffs. And so we'll continue to have those discussions and see where that can go. I'm hopeful that we can find another piece of the puzzle to plug this budget gap. And of course, we as commissioners are always open to hear any input from our constituents in terms of ideas that we can employ to possibly fill this gap and continue to provide the public safety services that people in the unincorporated areas of the county are accustomed to receiving. Nobody wants a 2 or 3 hour response time from the sheriff's department. The reality is that bad things can develop within a matter of seconds or minutes, and it's very rare that the response time would match that. But the sooner the better in terms of law enforcement response. And this failure of the levee is going to have a detrimental effect on that timestamp. So there's not much to say, but clearly there's no appetite among the voters, or not adequate appetite among the voters of Coos County to adequately fund our sheriff's department. So we're going to have to find other ways.
Chair Taylor, may I have one more comment?
Oh, sure, why not? Go ahead.
Commissioner Taylor pointed out that just due to the sheer size of the public safety departments within all of our general fund departments, that any general fund financial problem can't be dealt with without impacting public safety in a big way. It never occurred to me before, but I got thinking about it. We've already making cuts to our personnel, to our staff, is not a new thing. We've not had to do much of that since I became a commissioner, but it happened, a lot of it, before I was here. And looking back, my sense is that as much as possible, they avoided making cuts to public safety. Mm-hmm. And that's why we have in our voting election office just 2 people. That's why we're so skinny in almost all those administrative offices that you can hardly cut anything more and still have a functional department. If you have 2 people in a department, you cut 1, it's really hard for it to be functional. Same with the assessor's office, across the board. So what's left? And we have to provide by law all these services. We can't pick and choose. We have to have an assessor. we have to do assessment. We have to be able to meet payroll. We have to have, you know, a finance office. And those have all been cut to the bone already in an effort as best as previous commissioners could do to save public safety. But now it's going to take a big part out of public safety to to balance our budget. That was all.
Okay. All right, I think that's enough comments from me
Misery.
on the dais. So I would like to open the floor to public comments, beginning with James Bennett.
From Bennett Bandon. You know, I saw this quote that I really liked, and I think it's apropos to this chapter that we're in, by Mark Twain. In the beginning of a change, the patriot is a scarce man, and brave, and hated, and scorned. When his cause succeeds, the timid join him, and then it costs nothing to be a patriot. Well, I think we're beginning to get the memo, and I think everybody's going to get the memo really soon that we've already won. And doing the right thing, according to our rule book, isn't going to have a penalty like it has in the past. And I thank Bob Main for his service. And now that he doesn't have to get along with people that aren't going along with our rule book, I encourage you to maybe do some of the things you've always wanted to do, that you knew were right, but you didn't want to, have that much discord. Because we've already won, guys, and we're all going to know that in the coming weeks. I'd like to see you adopt the proclamation that was submitted to you and generate an ordinance and put the burden on those that are a little bit treasonous to undo it and explain to the constituents why it's appropriate to supplant their voice with this consensus process. I think that'd be really good. Another little thing I saw this last week is, this month, is the difference between a communist and a progressive is that a communist knows what he's doing. But, we've been at war, and those that go along to get along in times of war are called collaborators. And it doesn't mean that they're of ill intent. It just means that, in effect, they're collaborating. And a Drew Farmer might be of good intent, but I assure you that in our new government, the kinds of constraints and budgetary and social engineering and economic that are outside the framework of our Constitution aren't going to be happening anymore. I wouldn't worry about it. I wouldn't worry about the budgetary shortfalls for the jail. I think it's all going to change. And it almost reminds me of, forgive me, but leftist Grinches that always hated Christmas. And then one year, the most amazing divine gifts they could ever imagine are bestowed on them. And they change their mind about Christmas. That's what's coming, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Next, we have Jessica Hall. Name and approximate residency, please.
Jessica Hall, Coos Bay.
Thank you.
I wrote everything down because I get very nervous with public speaking. But I had to be here for my 4- and 8-year-olds who are here and for my community. In June of 2023, I hired Rich Rayburn Roofing to put a new roof on my house. I signed a contract and paid a deposit. I was told it would take 2 to 4 weeks to get started on my roof. For the next 6 months, I was told I was next on the list at least a dozen times. I was told they had a bigger job come in and I had to wait. I was told many excuses. I finally got a date. They did not show up or call. I politely complained to Donna, Rich's wife. She said she called me and I did not pick up. I asked why she did not text or email. She did not respond. She seemed hostile and said it was my fault. She said she had a stack of contracts on her desk and their policy was that if someone doesn't answer, they go on to the next person. I checked my incoming calls on my cell and landline. She did not call. She lied. I also already had an appointment I didn't know I needed to confirm. Finally, 6 months later in December, during a rainstorm, they came. Rich Rayburn showed up at 7 a.m. He told me I had to sign a new contract stating they would not do all of the work. I asked what that meant. He said they would not remove all of the rot because they had many other clients to serve. I told him I was not comfortable with that. He raised his voice and told me he would not let me out of my other contract, would not return my $7,000 deposit, and he would not do my roof. He even more shockingly said he would remove the tarp, which was his. I felt very intimidated and trapped, and I signed. They left nails everywhere and huge planks of wood with nails poking out all over my yard and deck, knowing I have children. I sent numerous emails begging them to put the tarp back on at night. I also asked one of the roofers. They never got back to me and left the tarp off for roughly 5 rainy nights. My daughter lost all of her clothes. She is 5 and is wearing her old 3-year-old clothes because her 45-year-old clothes were melted. I lost books, my sentimental scrapbooks, 3 years of taxes, among other things. I owned Believe in Magic, a children's clothing store in Coos Bay. If I get audited, I have no receipts or records. Even worse, there was a leak in the front of the house that dripped on my son's face. I paid for gutters. I asked the last roofer where the new gutters were. He said that kind of roof didn't take gutters, something a seasoned roofer like Rich would have known, yet he charged me for them. His roofer told me, "You'd better get your money back." They sent a message saying they would apply it to my balance only after I called and said their employee said there were no gutters. I received my bill. It was a lot more than the estimate, yet he had me sign a contract saying they would do less work. I politely asked Donna to have Rich call me. She refused. After a month of requesting the balance, Rich finally called. I told Rich I emailed requesting for them to tarp at night. He yelled, "No, you didn't." I told him the roof was still leaking. He said, "No, it isn't." I begged him, "Just come and look at it." He interrupted me constantly, screamed at me, and called me stupid and an idiot. We had some heated texts where I called him abusive. I filed a complaint with the BBB and began the process with the CCB. I found he had many bad reviews and complaints with the BBB and CCB. He retaliated by filing a lien on my house. At that point, I was already selling my house. I had no fight left in me and no money to hire an attorney. I did not contest the lien and was going to let him have the money he did not earn. A few days ago, I received a foreclosure notice on my house. Even though my house is listed and he would be guaranteed to get the money. So he's willing to make me lose the equity in my house, which is roughly $100,000, have my 4 and 8-year-old become homeless, something I didn't even know he could do, over $10,777 he would get in a few months when it sold. Since then, I have reached out to all of my friends and have heard dozens of stories of him scamming, abusing, overcharging, and doing shoddy work from former employees and clients. My neighbor, Sally, is here today to tell you about how he scammed her 80-year-old dad, whose name is Jerry Phillips. The room across the way is named after him. Many of you know him. I am here begging for help. I believe his intention is to take my house. Interestingly enough, he told me he was previously related to the people who sold it to me, and he had looked at it to buy himself. I hope for help from my family, but I also hope for the many other people he has hurt in this community. And I'd like to have Sally come up now. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Sally Baird. Can't quite read the rest of that, Sally, but you'll have a chance at the mic to introduce yourself, please. Thank you.
My story is going to be short. My name is Sally Baird Scott. So, I lived in a house with my dad, Jerry Phillips, and 7 years ago, he had a new roof put on his house, and he had Rayburn Roofing do the work. They came out promptly and did the work, but the roof leaked immediately after the roof was put on. This house had never had any leaking ever. So he called Rayburn. They did come out 2 different times, looked at it, but they said they were not responsible for the leaking, which was around the fireplace, leaking down into the living room. My dad was pretty frustrated. He was 86 at that time, and he was a very patient Christian man who did not like confrontation, and he did not want to get into a big heated fight with them. So he ended up just hiring FARs. FARs came out, fixed the roof, and that was it. So our experience with Rayburn wasn't very good. Okay.
All right, thank you very much. So the BOC, I mean, the Board of Commissioners is not a consumer advocacy group or organization. That's not our role. However, we are concerned about all of our constituents, and what we just heard is disturbing. And I am inclined to do some follow-up on this and find out what is going on. Not my official role, but a responsibility societally. So thank you, and I'm sorry for the trouble that you have experienced, Jessica. Expect some advocacy.
I would strongly recommend that you seek your own counsel. This isn't. I don't have the money for it. Yeah, so Oregon State Bar has a lawyer referral service. You might be able to find an attorney who could do this on pro bono matter. I just would strongly recommend you pursue that as opposed to the county. This isn't a legal matter that the county can resolve for you, and I wouldn't want you to have that impression.
Now that council has clarified the boundaries of appropriate county behavior, I repeat, we are free to advocate as elected officials. So it's a disturbing story that you tell. All right, is there anyone wishing to make any comments who did not sign up? All right, seeing none, we're going to have an early conclusion to our meeting today. Thank you all for being here. We are adjourned.
Wow, it's only 10:38. Wow.